Welcome into another episode of Locked On Phillies. The Philadelphia Phillies have swept the defending champion Texas Rangers. It's just getting absurd at this point, folks. It's crazy how good this team is. We'll talk about the series win. We're also going to preview the upcoming series against the Colorado Rockies out there in Denver. The Phillies are going to be spending their Memorial Day out west. Can they continue this hot streak? 6 straight wins so far? Yeah, they can, and I'll tell you why. Plus, I got to give a round of applause to the fan base during this homestand. All of that on today's episode.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm Connor Thomas, your host. Thank you so much for checking us out. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This is the best podcast in baseball for the best team in baseball right now. So appreciate you joining us, and please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff. I really appreciate everyone who's already done that, everyone who's going to. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. You get $20 off your first purchase. I'll tell you what, I was down at Citizens Bank Park yesterday, and if you have not been in the building yet this year, you need to. The atmosphere is electric. More on that a little bit later in the episode in our final segment that I'll give you an idea of why I'm crediting the fan base a little bit. Also, sorry I didn't get an episode up yesterday. I apologize. I had a bad case of the partied too hard because my team is the best team in baseball. No, I'm kidding. I had work stuff to do after the Phillies game for my radio job. But the good news is you're going to get a Saturday episode. So if your Memorial Day weekend is just you chilling on the beach somewhere or just hanging out at the pool, I'm going to put out another episode tomorrow for you to listen to. So your long weekend, you have entertainment surrounding the Philadelphia Phillies. So all good, right? And we'll break down both the final 2 games of that series, just the series as a whole with the Texas Rangers here. This team can win any way possible. They can. It's amazing what the Philadelphia Phillies do day in and day out. Let's start with yesterday. Let's work backwards through the series because yesterday was not the best offensive performance for the Philadelphia Phillies when it comes to the run scoring part of the game. They end up winning 5-2, which is not the blowout that they're capable of sometimes, but it's not a bad win. There are no bad wins in baseball. And you look at it and you say, okay, the Phillies had 12 hits, only scored 5 runs, a couple missed opportunities, a bases loaded jam early in this one that the Rangers worked out of. And here's the thing, though. Look at some of these numbers, right? I want you to remember this. Now, JT Realmuto went yard. Big home run for him to get the scoring started. Nick Castellanos went yard. Big home run for him to keep the scoring going, kind of extend the Philadelphia Phillies lead a little bit there. Yeah, that's absolutely great to see those guys going yard. But here's where the money was made for the Philadelphia Phillies. Batting 7th, Edmundo Sosa. 3 for 4 with a run scored. He was great at the plate. Whit Merrifield, 1 for 4. Run scored, though. He was on base out there, needed that. And then Christian Pache, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run scored. So you look at it and you say between those guys, you had 3 runs scored and 2 RBIs. The bottom 3 guys in your order in a game where you only scored 5 runs. Keep in mind that when we go to tomorrow's game, when we go to game 2 of this series, and we go backwards a little bit on that one. But yesterday, it was some of the guys you don't expect to get big hits coming through in spots to set the table and then score. Christian Pache's triple was huge to break this one open. It was basically the part of the game where you felt, okay, the Phillies kind of have a handle on this one. And why they were able to win with only 5 runs scored, well, it's because Zach Wheeler went 7 innings of 2-run ball. Only struck out 5, so not his best strikeout performance. Did give up a home run early in this one, but Jose Alvarado, lockdown inning. Jeff Hoffman, lockdown inning. The bullpen is great. We're going to have a conversation at some point later, close to the trade deadline, about Mason Miller, the pitcher, the bullpen pitcher from the Oakland Athletics, who sits 101, as nasty, and everyone's going to want to trade for. Guys like Alvarado and Hoffman are reasons why you don't need Mason Miller. Do I want him? Well, we'll talk about that at some point. That's a conversation for a different day. Bottom line is Zach Wheeler was great. Gives you another 7 innings. You get just an inning out of your 2 best relievers, and next thing you know, you've swept out the Rangers. So that's just a beautiful way to win a baseball game. It's efficient. It's dominant. It's reliable. It's everything you want from a baseball team. And then on other days, they can win a game like this. We didn't talk about the Wednesday game yet, the Wednesday night game, because we had the Thursday day game. It's a quick turnaround, especially with me doing morning sports talk radio. But Phillies won 11-4 on Wednesday night. They absolutely hung it on the Rangers. They only had 8 hits. So think about that. 12 hits equals 5 runs. 8 hits equals 11 runs. Well, a big part of the difference is the Rangers had 4 errors in game 2 of this series and just kind of completely fell apart out there. But remember I told you Pache, Merrifield, Sosa, big parts of the win yesterday. On Wednesday, when you look at the lineup, you had JT Realmuto, 2 for 5, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored, a home run in that one. Bryce Harper, a home run, an RBI, a run scored, all in that same swing. Of course, it was his only hit of the ball game. Alec Bohm, 2 for 5, run scored. And it was like kind of the top of the order guys. Now Edmundo Sosa, he had 3 RBIs on a home run as well. So you get contributions, just like in yesterday's game, you got the home run from JT, you got the home run from Nick Castellanos, but top of the order kind of carried you on Wednesday. Thursday, bottom of the order carries you a little bit more. Also, another solid-ish pitching outing from Taijuan Walker. I'm not too worried about the Walker thing yet. He didn't get the win because he didn't go deep enough in the game, only 4 2/3 innings. He's not at his best right now, and it doesn't matter because the Phillies are just going to go out and pound teams. Offensively, they'll carry the pitching staff when they need to. Pitching staff will carry the offense when the offense isn't great. I'm trying to think of the way to word this without being like too exaggerative. I don't know if that's a word, but you get what I mean. I'm trying not to overstate this. I've already said it's the best Philadelphia Phillies team I've ever seen. And I know people were in the comments saying, oh, well, they got to win a ring. It doesn't matter if they don't win at all. You can't say that this early. I'm talking about like the talent level of this team, the ability of this team to win baseball games. If you put this Phillies team in a game, a short series, a long series, anything against any Phillies team of my lifetime, I'm turning 30 this year. So any team since 1994. So fortunately, 93 team doesn't fit in there. But I'm taking this team every single time over every single one of those Phillies teams. They are the best team I've ever seen. I don't know what the result is yet, but I feel that way. And when I look at this roster and how they're composed, I want to say it's a near perfect roster composition. It really is. Just like look at the rotation are all guys that are different types of pitchers. You have Zach Wheeler, who could be the overpowering type of dominant pitcher. You have Aaron Nola, who has the great stuff. It's kind of variable. He has a high ceiling, somewhat of a low floor, depending on if he has his good stuff. But he's going to have really good movement. He is your top level, elite level movement strikeout guy, even though Zach Wheeler is an elite level strikeout guy too. He does it by dominance. You have Ranger Suarez, who is just a surgeon. He's crafty. He's not going to overpower you. He's going to pick you apart. And you have Taijuan Walker, the horse, the big-bodied guy who can go out there and ideally when he's throwing well, get you innings. And then you have Christopher Sanchez, who's kind of the forgotten crafty lefty that is not as surgical as Ranger Suarez, but just kind of will surprise you with the outings he gives you. Those are like the archetypes for good pitchers, and you have all of those in one staff, and they all feed off each other. The lineup, you have homegrown talent, Bohm, Stott, Rojas. You have veteran leaders that you have gone out and gotten that are top-level guys, JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. I know he's not playing it right now. Nick Castellanos. You have guys, Trey Turner, when he's playing and not injured. You have guys out there that are young that weren't yours, but you're adding to the depth with that in guys like Brandon Marsh, Christian Pache, Edmundo Sosa. You have Whit Merrifield as the super utility man. You have Cody Clemens, who, again, young, not yours, but you traded for, who's adding depth. And all of those categories, they excel in bringing those guys in or have to build this roster. And just look at the bullpen. You have great lefties. Jose Alvarado, Matt Strahm. Great righties, Jeff Hoffman, Orion Kerkering. You have long relief guys, Strom, now Turnbull. Like you just have everything you need. You have guys that even your like mop up guys. Jose Ruiz has been good. Um, Seranthony Dominguez has not been great. And guess what? His ceiling is one of the top right-handed relievers in baseball when he's right. Like I don't know how you build a team any better than what the Philadelphia Phillies have done this year. That's credit to Dave Dombrowski. That's credit to keeping this team together because I know all you, why are they running it back, people? I fought with you all offseason telling you they're fine. This team's going to be very good. Well, there you have it, folks. Sometimes you have to trust a future Hall of Fame president of baseball operations. But this is not me trying to take like a victory lap, and there's a long way of the season to go. I just can't come up with enough ways to say how good this team is. They've swept 2 straight series. They've won 6 straight games. No signs of slowing down. Best 50-game start in franchise history for the Philadelphia Phillies. And now, like, they just continue to win. Can they continue that in Colorado? Well, they'll start a series with the Rockies out in Denver. Kind of weird place to play, obviously, because of the altitude and the way the ball travels. And we'll discuss that coming up. And I'll just tell you, I don't see any issue with this team just continuing to roll. That's kind of who they are. We'll talk about it as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Let's talk about game time first, though, because my goodness, you need game time right now. There is no other way to put it. It is a necessity. It's food, it's water, it's oxygen, and then it's game time. Being a Philadelphia Phillies fan and watching Locked On Phillies, being in that building right now is close to a religious experience, and it is only May. Wait till the summer gets going. Wait till this team keeps winning. Like, don't wait till Red October to get to Citizens Bank Park. Game time is going to help you do that the easiest, fastest way possible. They're an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, and they've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat. Their lowest price guarantee, if you find a seat on another site in the same row and section as yours on the Game Time app, and they're lower, well, they'll give you 110% of the difference. They'll pay you for your time, not just give you your money back. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing by Game Time. Plus, all the guesswork's taken out when you can see the view from your seats and everything like that. It's not just baseball games. You can go to comedy shows, concerts, theater, all of that great stuff. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, a lot of things going on in your area. Maybe you're not in the city of Philadelphia. You can do all of this with Game Time. Go ahead and check it out. They're awesome. Plus, not only can you get in and see the best team in baseball thanks to Game Time, but download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, let's preview this series with the Colorado Rockies because it's a very interesting spot that the Philadelphia Phillies find themselves in. And by interesting, I mean, how long can they play this well? That kind of becomes the question for the Philadelphia Phillies. Like, how long are they going to go before we see that regression back to just like a team that you can mentally comprehend? I'm having trouble comprehending what this team is right now. I really am. It's very hard to wrap your mind around what we're seeing because the Phillies have existed since 1883. A little bit of quick math, 100 years, another 40 years. That's 141 seasons, or I guess 140 seasons of baseball that have been played by the Philadelphia Phillies, and none have been as good as this one to this point in the season. So it makes you wonder, like, there's no one even alive who's ever seen anything like this. Oh, because it's never happened, because this team is maybe the best Phillies team ever, talent-wise. Like, it makes it hard to consume a season in May when you're already having these thoughts about grandeur like that. So that's something you're wrestling with. And I'll tell you what, you're going to continue to wrestle with it because the Colorado Rockies are not in a spot to slow down this Philadelphia Phillies team. I'm sorry to all you Rockies fans who tuned in for this episode to hear me talk about your baseball team and the matchup and everything. If there are any of you listening, do Rockies fans exist? I guess they have to, right? Bottom line is the Rockies are 16-33. The Phillies are 37-14, 23 games over 500. This should be a bloodbath. Now, one thing we don't do I learned this the hard way with the Marlins series like 2 weekends ago. I predicted a sweep. They lost game 3. They looked good all series, but ultimately came up short of that. And we should have been happy with that. And I think a lot of people were happy with that. And I was happy with that. My point is, I'm not going to predict a sweep just because they've swept 2 times in a row. Even if the Rockies are significantly worse than those other 2 teams you just played, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's keeping you rolling. That's building the deficit as far as the division and your record towards the number of 500. So, like, that's what you're looking for from this series. 2 out of 3. The sweep is very much on the table. I would not be remotely surprised at all, but just setting proper expectations. Tonight, Christopher Sanchez goes against Ty Blatch. Sanchez, 3.31 ERA, 2-3 on the year, 1.45 whip. And Ty Blatch, 1-2 for the Rockies. Lefty, kind of weird to pick up, but a 5.14 ERA. Part of that has to do with pitching in Colorado, so their numbers are going to be a little bit inflated. The offense just isn't great for the Rockies. I mean, Ryan McMahon leads the team in home runs, 9. Bryce Harper has 12 already, hasn't hit in Coors Field yet. You're looking at a guy in Elias Diaz, who has a 320 average for the Colorado Rockies. It'd be better if you had 100 more points on that, if you know anything about Denver. But Alec Boehm, 323 average, better. And then RBIs, Alec Boehm has 46 RBIs to lead the Phillies, and I believe still the majors. McMahon leads the team for the Rockies. He only has 30. They just don't produce as much offensively. They don't have as good of a pitching staff. It's why the Phillies are minus 215 favorites tonight on the money line. They're 68.8% chance to win tonight's game, according to ESPN Analytics. Like, everything looks good there. We're just going to take a slight overview of the rest of the series because, like I told you, we're going to have another episode tomorrow, and that's going to go ahead and set up Saturday's game. So I don't want to dive too deep into it, but Nola throws. He'll throw against Dakota Hudson. Dakota Hudson is 1-7 this year. The Phillies are hugely favored in that game. So, yeah, that should be more of the same. And then it's okay, Rockies. Don't worry about it. You get an easy Sunday. A very calm, cool Sunday where you don't have to worry about anything crazy. Just kidding. Ranger Suarez takes the mound. Yeah, that's going to be something to watch. Ranger Suarez, 9-0 on the year. 10-0 in his starts, the Philadelphia Phillies are. I am so sorry to everybody in Colorado that you guys see Nola and Ranger Suarez in the same series. But it's like, dude, every series, either you're seeing Wheeler or Ranger or both or Nola's in there. It's like, how do you win a series against this team? I don't know how you do it at this point. It's insane. And the Colorado Rockies haven't been able to do that against many teams lately. I mean, they just lost a series to the Athletics. Before that, they lost a series to the Giants. They won, actually, a 2-game series. They swept 2 games from the Padres back on May 13th and 14th. That's the last time they won a series. And we know the Padres can be a little bit iffy, even though they handled the Braves pretty well. I'm not too worried about the series with the Rockies. You shouldn't be either. I don't care about the schedule. Anyone who says, the Phillies haven't beaten many teams over 500, kick rocks. I do not care. This is the best team in baseball. And if you're not watching them, I understand if you don't understand that, but you're wrong. You're crazy. And we're going to enjoy it here in Philadelphia. And coming up, I just want to give credit to some of the fans because, well, all the fans. But speaking of enjoying it in Philadelphia, this fan base has truly enjoyed the start to this season, and they're paying back the team in a big way. So we'll talk about that coming up as we wrap up Locked On Phillies. Let's talk FanDuel first, though. FanDuel's absolutely awesome. They are the number one place you need to go if you want to place a wager on any sporting event that you're sitting down to watch. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. I'll give you a hint, right? You go ahead and you place your first bet. You need to win it so $5 bet you need to win $150 in bonus bets. Put $5 on, like, I don't know, the Phillies plus 2.5 runs against the Colorado Rockies. Like, they're going to smoke them. It's as safe a bet as you can make. You're not going to make a lot of money on the bet, but you're going to get $150 in bonus bets, and then you can use all that to bet on whatever you'd like. Could be the Phillies again. Could be spreads, money lines, player props, more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, and you can make every playoff shot count. Like, you can also go to basketball or hockey if you'd like to do that. FanDuel, is America's #1 sports book. So go ahead and check them out. Love our friends over at FanDuel. I also want to tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks, #1 spot for daily fantasy sports, right? They're America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and the most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winning roll in. Baseball season is going right now. Of course, you know this already. We're coming up on a third of the way through, actually. So you have a lot of data to tell you what hitters should do what pitchers should do what. And I'll tell you what, if you just go over on like all of the good things for the Philadelphia Phillies, you're going to win. All you do is you pick your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks entries. Maybe it's strikeouts, maybe it's RBIs, maybe it's first inning runs. Take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. The more you add, the more you make, but also you only need 2 in there to do it. And Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So go ahead and check out Prize Picks. I mean, what do you need? An incentive from them? Okay, they'll do that. Their game. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB. You'll get a first deposit match up to $100. Again, you download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. You'll get a first deposit match up to $100. A Ben Frank right in your account right there. So go ahead and check out Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy. The last thing I want to talk about in this episode is I just want to give a shout out to the fans. I mean, yesterday, being down at the yard, being in that building, seeing how electric it was, it felt like September baseball. It did. It not quite October, right? October is a totally different beast. But you know when like September rolls around, and some kids might not have gotten back to school quite yet. So there's still some kids out there at the yard, and you're looking at a pretty big crowd as it starts to ramp up towards playoff time. You're smelling Red October. The vibes are high because the team's hopefully playing well. Like that's what it felt like yesterday. Here's the difference. Yesterday was a business person special. It was a 1 o'clock game, 1:05 first pitch that was delayed to 1:45 by weather appreciation day or weather education day. So it only makes sense that it rained. But it's harder. Kids are still in school right now. 100% you have to like get your kid out of school or take the day off work to go do that. On top of it being a business person special, you're also looking at it being a team that, I mean, World Series champions and everything, sure, the Texas Rangers, but do you know how hard it is to get people this in on a baseball team in May? Like, it's early in the season, it's a business person special, and the Phillies had a sellout. And it was loud, and it was electric at that ballpark. And this fan base was locked in from first pitch to final out. When the Rangers went up 1-0, you never really heard a drop in the crowd because everyone believes this team always has a chance regardless of what's going on the scoreboard. Until the final out's recorded, this fan base is going to be loud and behind the Phillies, and that's a major advantage. It's insane the way this city has embraced this team, especially for all the people who were so upset with this team after the way they went out to the Diamondbacks last year in the NLCS. I know that sucked. I know some people might still be saying, man, I still think about that sometimes. And this team thinks about it every day, and they're going out there with a purpose to make sure it doesn't happen again. But Kyle Schwarber tweeted about the fans and his appreciation. Jeff Hoffman tweeted about the fans and the environment and his appreciation. Like, the players are noticing. Keep packing the bank. I know the Phillies are about to go on a road trip, but the players notice. It makes a difference, and it shows that truly the best fans in baseball reside in Philadelphia. We already knew that, but this is this is possibly, I'm going to tell you this right now, this is possibly the best baseball team you'll ever watch in Philadelphia. Like, that's how special this team is right now. Why would you not go see them? Use Game Time if you do, by the way. Another plug for them. And you've been showing up like crazy to support this team. It's honestly, this is already one of my favorite seasons in Philadelphia Phillies history. And part of it is because of that environment down at Citizens Bank Park. So I want to give a thank you to all the fans out there for following Locked On Phillies first and foremost, but also for supporting this baseball team the way you do and making it very easy to do this podcast and helping the team win to make our lives all more enjoyable and better. So great work so far, fans. It's only going to get better as this team keeps winning. And this podcast is only going to get better as I keep trying to come up with ways to somehow explain just how special this baseball team is. Don't worry. I'm not out of words just yet. Got a long way to go, though. So they keep winning. I might be. That's all for today's episode. Again, we're going to have another episode tomorrow, special Saturday episode to get you through your long Memorial Day weekend. I know a lot of people have Monday off. So we'll talk about game 1 of the Rockies series. We'll preview game 2. We'll get into a little bit of side topic stuff. It'll be a fun episode, so tune in tomorrow. But that's all for today's episode. Again, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you next time on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.